Welcome to Common Sense, episode 13. Is that time we're going to discuss the happenings in the world. Please like, share, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
On Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And Spotify.
There's so many these days, we can't keep up. But this is the Common Sense podcast, and this is episode 13. And I'm here with the lovely Nana, First Lady of Common Sense.
I like that title.
Welcome. Okay, this is serious business.
Yeah.
The whole world, we're at the crossroad again. It's not like it's a new thing anyway. Conflict every time. It's like humans are just born out of conflict. I guess this is the case because it's the kingdom of God suffered violence, and the violent one took it by force. It's always been the case. I've always said war is inevitable sometimes. And permit me, I know you're of Ghanaian descent. I've also advocated in the past that Nigeria as a country need to flex its muscles and just declare war against Ghana. All because we want to test new weapons and so that we'll be war ready. And I've also joked that Europeans are hardcore war ready people, war battle ready. Americans is why they continue to fight. They're war ready for these sort of things. Israel is ever war ready. Could they live next door to Hamas around Gaza? Gaza is war ready because of the tensions between. So we're at it again. This is no longer the Ukraine and Russia, is Israel and Gaza conflict. And
yeah, it is.
We're just to talk about how it all started and what was the next steps with the powers that be. So Hamas gunmen launched an attack or assault on Israel, Gaza Strip, through the Gaza Strip on the 7th of October this year. And in that assault, they said that they killed it, according to news. We haven't verified. Common Sense has not verified it.
We haven't verified it. We're only going by what's in the media.
1,200 people, and they took hostages from a concert. There were stories going on, rumors going on, people beheaded and all, babies beheaded. Those have not been confirmed. The Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, said there were babies beheaded, but that's not been confirmed as well. And then, as a result, Israel was taken aback by the whole thing. And it was peacetime. Nobody was expecting it except the powers that be. And it was also on the eve of Israel and Saudi signing the groundbreaking agreement to become, partners and whatever in politics and all. And that happened. And Israel since launched a land assault, and as a result, unverified, 14,800 people have since died. Yeah. Why Israel and Hamas again? And what's the implication for the rest of the world? We live in London, we've witnessed a lot of protests.
Yeah, I think we have witnessed a lot of protests, and people have gone out in their numbers calling for a ceasefire. And I'm in full support of that ceasefire, only because of just coming from a humanity perspective. And I think that's where I'm always coming from these days. Looking from it from a humanitarian perspective, I don't think with what we're seeing all over the media, it's very hard to continue supporting Gaza and Israel going at it. And I think that's the only...
So ceasefire is the way forward?
Yeah. So only because I'm thinking about all the innocent people and the children.
Are people really innocent in any of this? Because sometimes I'm wanting to say there are no innocents anyway.
When you say there are no innocent, I can't possibly, because there's been images that we've seen of like young children, and for me, they're innocent.
The casualties of this, okay.
They're innocent.
Okay, so you said ceasefire, and a lot of people called for ceasefire, and the government, Sunak's government and the opposition voted against ceasefire. Why are we not going a step more and say, we need to punish those who've committed offenses or crimes against humanity, whether it be from the Hamas side or from the Israeli side? Because it seems like no one is calling for that except countries that are aligned and have no say really in the Arab League or UN or African Union or EU.
But I think, and I'm going to say this, right, and this might come off as quite controversial. I always say that international law, somehow, when it comes to international law and prosecuting people for war crimes, it's quite interesting that we only ever see people calling for it or it being enforceable when we're dealing with certain war crimes. and war crimes involving people from in my opinion,
certain countries and
certain
countries that don't have
countries.
powers as well.
Yeah.
Because Israel is a very strong power. Israel is a nuclear power.
Yeah.
So
this is why a lot of times I say that international law has no teeth.
So international law is biased towards those who call the shots, and those who call the shots are simply one nation, America.
America, yeah.
Simple as that. Because Russia and Putin have been declared wanted by the ICC.
Yeah.
But it's not even going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Yeah.
But
because once again,
but that was politics. And it was good that they do it. I said they hoodwinked. They kind of trapped Putin somehow. He's been unable to travel. That's diplomatic coup. Well, the way they were quick to do that, and now they're not doing that against Netanyahu, tells you who the power brokers are. Because the crimes they said Putin committed in the Ukraine war, people are not saying, commentators are not saying Israel's done worse in shorter days. So why are we not calling for Netanyahu to be prosecuted the same way, or International Court of Justice asking for his head?
I think it really is all about allyship, isn't it? And that's
the key.
When it comes
they're allied to America.
Yeah.
So it goes again.
And honestly, and if you think about it, right, I don't think it should come as a shock because in terms of our everyday lives, like, let's be honest, the people that are your allies, you support.
Yeah, of course. And with America still the superpower, the sole superpower, I know a lot of people would like to think there are other superpowers. Trust me, America is the sole superpower.
Yeah. No, very powerful.
America is the most powerful nation on earth to still continue. I know a lot of people think they're seeing the decline of an empire. I don't see that at all. Because people look alongside, they just think alongside military. If you look military, America is still the most powerful.
Yeah.
But America has tentacles wide in so many areas. It could be economic sanctions that will cripple you. America's not even done a quarter of sanctions on Russia. If they did, Putin will be begging. It's fact, but people don't believe these things. America has the power to stop whatever is going on in Israel. All they need to do is just pinch the ear of Netanyahu, but they don't want to do that. They're flexing their muscles because it's also, like I said, an opportunity for people to know we're still the boss. We're calling the shots. So there's a lot of bias going on. Yeah. And then there's the Arab League, led by Arab-speaking countries, and yet they're not even saying much. So weapons going to Israel come through the airspace of some of the Arab League nations from America and other partners. Those Arab League nations can shut their airspace to Israel, and Israel won't have those weapons, but they're not doing it. Why? Are they not aligned with their Arab brothers in Palestine?
But I think the way that we need to think about this in terms of the conflict and how it's been reported is that, it's been reported as it's not a war against the
Palestinians.
It's
a war to rat out terrorists.
It's a war for it's exactly for terrorism. And we all know that when you say the T word, especially in political spaces, everything
nobody wants to align.
You get into a whole different ballgame.
But that's where propaganda works.
And to root out terrorism, it's almost as if you are allowed to basically do anything that you want.
Of course.
To fight terrorism,
yes.
of course.
You are absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And that's Israel's position. And that's why nations like the UK and America are saying, we're in support of that. Do that. But interestingly, Gaza, that strip, Hamas is a government. Hamas is no longer a group. Politically, their majority, they control that space. So it should actually be war against a government. So, and in that sense, international law should come into play because the way they're playing it is we're not fighting against a nation which don't come under international. It's so difficult to define when you're pursuing terrorists in a nation as opposed to when you've declared war against it. So, for example, I said Nigeria declared war against Ghana. There's international law for that. But if Nigeria were chasing armed robbers and terrorists into Ghana, it's a different ballgame. So that's the twist.
Yeah.
That's how they interpreted the law, because we're not after Palestine or the Palestinian Authority, because we're not touching them. We're after the terrorists, whether they're elected politicians or not.
I think what makes this whole thing very sad is that you have people that are just collateral damage.
Yeah, we'll touch on that now, because you see, we've just been talking everything around the periphery of this whole thing. But that's how I wanted us to do that, so we see how sometimes the big media companies and government and capitals like Brussels Paris, UK, London, and Washington, how they discuss these issues, and they're so far removed from what is happening on ground. They don't see those people as people anymore. They've dehumanized them. You're collateral damage because you're housing the terrorists, because your homes are used as underground networks. So the way they go about this is to first dehumanize you. It's the way David Cameron used the word cockroaches for migrants who were crossing the channel. You dehumanize a person, then you've desensitized people to see they're no longer humans. It's the same thing the Jews ironically suffered under Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
He first dehumanized them. He called them names, vermins, rats, and that. And if they don't exterminate it, they'll be everywhere like rats and stuff. You dehumanize them, and then nobody sees them as human anymore. They see them as cockroaches you can stamp on.
Yeah.
That's what they've done. That's what they've done now. They do it. They've used nice language like, okay, we're not fighting against elected officers, elected officials. We're fighting terrorists, and we're going to rat them out. And like you said, when you use the T words, but people are dying.
Yes,
but then again, it could be argued that people die everywhere. Even if we didn't kill 14,800 since, 14,800 would have died anyway.
Of course, we understand that death is inevitable. Yeah. Right?
Babies die every day.
Of course they do.
Women die every day.
They do, but I don't know. I personally don't know how you can justify death that I think is avoidable.
Yeah. Was this avoidable? So how would you wanted Israel to react?
I don't know. and I'm going to put my hands up
because
and say, I really honestly do not know.
Again, whether I would like it or not.
The only thing that I'm like I said, from a humanitarian perspective, and like with what we're seeing and what we're consuming, watching people literally like picking the dead bodies of their family members and stuff, like children on the rubbles. It's disheartening.
It is disheartening,
and it makes me sad.
And this is for shock
and for me, I can't possibly sit here and say, okay, literally looking at this, all these atrocities and all this death, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's justifiable.
Okay, but what about where was the outrage then? Where has the outrage been since? Because Palestine has not been enjoying life as the rest of us do under Israel's occupation because of the policies, and they call it the apartheid regime. So where was the outrage all this time? Did we just are we just recently awoke from a big dream because there's bombs dropping in Gaza? Because Israel can justify this
for years.
Yeah, Israel can justify this and say they attacked us first. We're trying to root out those animals. So if you're in our way, sorry, collateral damage. But I'm saying the new wokeness on the streets of Europe and everywhere in the world against these atrocities. Where was this all this time? Because those people in the Gaza Strip and all of Palestine, they've been going through this for years. Nobody really cared. You just go about drinking our tea, have our dinner, and that's it. Yeah, it's happening in Congo. It's happening in Haiti. Yeah, who's talking about all of that?
Yeah, but I think it gets to a point where, like I said, once you have the information and it's readily available now, I think perhaps in the past the media hasn't reported on it. And as much as people like to shy away, the bottom line is it comes down to the media controls the narrative. They can honestly,
of course.
And our reactions to this are based on what is reported.
Exactly.
So if something isn't being reported on, and a lot of people don't even know the history.
No. A lot of people couldn't even point Palestine on the map. They thought it was Philippines or something.
Behind Israel.
A lot of Americans don't know where Palestine is.
And honestly,
they thought Israel was another state of US. A lot of people.
And I'm honestly going to sit here and say this, I understand. So in those instances where you don't have the information, you don't know the history, you don't know how far back this conflict dates back to, how then can you possibly, in my opinion,
it's why I said
people.
It's why I laugh at people. I call them
because now it's only because I feel like it's hit a boiling point. And now it's been reported everywhere. But arguably, that boiling point has been there. Because when you speak to people who have family that have lived in Palestine and tell you the history of the conflict between Israel and Palestinians, it's been going on for decades.
But this is not the first time, though.
No, it's not.
It happens periodically.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised people just
but I feel
bringing out their anger now and saying...
No. I also think it's also because of the age that we're in. We're in the information age. You log on to social media, you're on Twitter, X. I don't know whether to call it Twitter or X. You're on X, you're on Instagram, you're on you're on TikTok. Like your senses are being flooded. Okay.
It brings me to the very interesting aspect of things. Now all of this is thrown up different queries and concerns, and even for us on the streets of the UK, streets of Germany, even in faraway New Zealand, they're having to change their policing tactics and all, because it's brought out a beast in a lot of people. There's been anti-Semitism in tropes online.
And also
there's
Islamophobia.
Been, Islamophobia, big time. It's always been there. It's never been checked. There's all sorts has happened.
Yeah.
Now, is this a direct fallout of this, or is this something that's been boiling on the ground? So they say a rising tide lifts the ship. Is this been going on, or this uprising? Because I say, Sadiq Khan would like to say London is very diverse and it's a diverse place, a good place, it's the most diverse place. And I say you're a fucking liar. Sorry for my language. I say you're a liar because we're just a melting pot waiting to explode. Because we all come out on Diwali or come out on New Year Day and say, hey, it doesn't make us diverse. I live amongst people. They don't want to see your face. They're quick to say, go back to where you come from. I don't think that is diverse. We just play with the word diverse and tick the boxes and do a lot of woke things, and we think that's it. So this whole thing happening, is it as a direct result, or it was waiting to happen already, but this was just the avenue for, or the outlet for it to come out? Because whether we like it or not, there's been Islamophobia, but who have been the ones committing those evils of who are those ones being Islamophobic? But there's also been anti-Semitism, and I've met Jews who are under real fear because of how they've been targeted, and you know their history as well, coming from Europe. And I also want people to be educated about all of this, so that we're mindful before we come out and say and do and protest.
I agree with you. I definitely think there is a lack of education.
Very, very.
But then I think at some point also it falls on you as an individual to educate yourself about certain things, because there's only so much you can expect from whether it be like public organizations or from the government, because at some point you have to, from my perspective, I think you have to educate yourself about certain things and certain topics and know exactly what it is, so that you can understand the nuances when it comes to certain things.
Aaron Banks is a popular guy.
Yeah.
He's also the financier for Brexit, one of the major financiers of Brexit. I think he was backing Nigel Farage. I saw him on X today. The prime minister or the president, no, the TSAC, they call them the TSAC of Ireland. You know, they just had their own recent violence now.
Yeah.
And he said, this violence, blah, 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 we're going to go to the root and blah, blah, blah. Aaron Banks captured that and tweeted, Irish people should eliminate Leo Varadkar from, it then added, from public life. I wanted to say eliminate. It's indirectly calling for him to be killed because he's of Muslim descent.
Yeah.
And that's Aaron Banks, not an ordinary person, a financier, a banker, a rich man. If a white rich man is saying that comfortably in a public space, tell me about those, what's that scumbag? Sorry for my language, the scumbag who leads people on the streets.
Which one? Oh, I think I forgot his name, but I know exactly who
he don't go by his real name. He calls himself a journalist now. Some scumbag anyway. Yeah, so tell me how much. Look at Ireland. They call Ireland a place of peace. Just a little uprisings bring out the beast in there. They're going around burning things.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, nowhere is home. Get ready to pack your bags anytime. I always say that. Nowhere is home. You can't be uprooted from anywhere. So that's why I don't believe in the diversity rubbish that Sadiq Khan and London boroughs keep pushing up on us. Because look at it, it's not diverse. Look at the protests that happened.
Yeah.
Look at everything that's happening. Does that look like a diverse place?
But I think, once again, I think people always get the idea that just because you've got different people from different backgrounds and from different ethnic minorities,
think we all get along.
Yeah.
We don't get along.
Living in an area, that doesn't mean that we all get along.
Absolutely don't.
Because when you look into it, even when it comes to like dealing with people from black and minority ethnic groups, even within those groups,
there are shades.
There are different shades. In the same way that I always point out that people like to lump people of color together. But then if you actually look at it, and we all know that there's a lot of anti-blackness within certain communities.
Yes, of course.
But when you but under like I mean, I guess it's easy for them. They'll just lump us all together.
Yeah, but coming back to what you said, for me, it's just being the human that I am.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be violently killed anyway.
Exactly,
Whether
yeah.
in Palestine, in Gaza Strip, in Israel, or far away Haiti, or Congo, where my
Or
brothers
Congo
and
anyway.
sisters
Yeah,
still
yeah,
suffer.
yeah.
I don't want it. Whether it's far away Uganda,
Yeah.
I don't
And
want
I
it.
don't think that
And I also believe that people who are in position of power, I know they don't hold the real power, but we elected you. I need them, people like Biden and Sunak, to really pull up their skirt and really stand up for what we elected them for. I know they're not pulling the strings behind, because Biden, he scarcely have know where he goes left or right these days. He doesn't know. He's shocked by what comes out of his own mouth. But
is old.
please, we've elected you guys.
Yeah.
Just do the needful. You can stand up and say to Netanyahu, enough is enough. You can stand up and say this is. But anyway, good news. Has been agreed a ceasefire for a couple of days.
Yeah, I think it's 5
4
days
days or
or
something.
yeah.
And there's been hostages and prisoners exchanged. So let's hope that this leads to a
It's
longer
gonna lead,
lasting
of
peace.
course, it leads to longer lasting
And-
peace. And that's all we can really hope for.
Yeah. We don't have the powers, but like I said, people pull the strings behind. Although we've elected these people, I need them to really pull up their skirts by the bootstrap and say, hey, I'm standing up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's all we've got today on Common Sense. Please join us again next time. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and what else do they need to do?
Oh, what?
Just have conversation with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.